So the Crew Access arm is currently being fabricated in Oak Hill at the Sauer Group yard. It is on a test stand. We mounted that to the test stand just before Thanksgiving, and that's where we will go through all of its exercises, validation testing before we bring it out to the pad. So right now the arm is in the test stand. It has been rotated numerous times. It swings very, very nicely. It is completely outfitted with, except for the environmental seal. It's being tested in Pueblo this week. We have about 2 months worth of testing that we're going to perform at Sauer, and then in the May-June timeframe we will take it off of that tower, transport it here, and erect it on the Crew Access tower later this summer. Yes, sir.
Gene McCulka, Talking Space. I didn't get your name, sir. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. My name is Howard Bigler. I am the ULA Launch Site Accommodations Project Manager for the Crew Access tower.
Thank you. Could you talk a little bit about what you're doing for emergency egress on this tower? Because this is a brand new facility. It's never had to deal with human spaceflight before. What are you doing for emergency crew egress here?
So right now our baseline design is slide wire baskets. Just so happens we got them designed into the tower here. We are evaluating this design for cost purposes, but right now we have our baseline design is 4 slide wire baskets, which will make their way to the ready room parking lot. At the parking lot there will be 2 MRAPs that Boeing will borrow from NASA. So NASA has a number of MRAPs for the SLS program. So we are multi-purposing those units for commercial crew use as well. And then they will park the area and evacuate out to a termination point that needs to be determined.
And I'm going under the pretext that that's going to go through all our testing and all that, and also have to go through a certification process as well.
Absolutely.
And when do you expect all that to be completed?
October of this next year, October 15th of 2016.
Thank
you. Yes, sir.
I was wondering how much clearance will the Cygnus launch have at the top of the tower?
Actually, a lot more than you think. It really looks close, especially when you're on the other side of the tower looking up. It looks like it's going to run right into it, but we have well over 40 feet of clearance.
So, what modifications are going to be necessary for the tower for the Crew Access arm as you transition from Atlas to Vulcan?
None, as of right now. So Vulcan has the same elevations as the current Atlas does. Okay, so the last question is what modifications will be required for Vulcan? So everybody heard the answer?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll count. Yes, sir?
Could you describe a little bit about how you move the rockets from where they're assembled into this launch pad?
Assuming from the VIF?
Yes.
Okay, so the question was how do we transfer the launch vehicle from the VIF to the launch pad? So typically the day before launch we will open up the VIF doors and we'll start at least staging stuff for the transition. We basically bring 2 undercarriages underneath the mobile launch platform. We raise the unit up. That's after we've decoupled it from all the ground facilities, ECS and power. We'll fire up generators and hook up the portable ECS systems, the PEX vans. And then we use 2 track mobiles that actually push the entire stack up through the rail system to the pad. The actual transportation time is about 20 minutes from start to finish, and then once we get it to the pad, we'll then lower it back down and start transitioning everything back over to the facility power and facility ECS. And that takes several hours to accomplish. And that's the day before launch. And then we'll load RP1, which is the kerosene refined jet fuel onto the first stage on that day, and then basically we go home and come back the next day and start preparing for launch. Yes?
Yeah, a couple questions. We had talked in the past about stacking the tiers, in between launches. I was just curious, at this stage you're at now with outboard and all the outfitting that's going to happen from there on, is it easier or just the same to do in between launches like you have been?
Yes, so the question was the demobilization process in between launches. So obviously we have a very active launch pad. 7 launches already this year, and we built this in that same time period. And so what the crews are doing right now is they're doing final bolt up inspections of all that exterior steel that we put up. We go through and we also do overpressure analysis. Since we're in that in-between state, we have to understand what the environments are going to be to the tower to make sure it's not going to pose a threat to the launch vehicle or any of the outside GSE. So today they are doing final bolt inspections. The analysis has already been done, so we know exactly what the drift models are, what the pressure is on the launch vehicle. And then we do a very complete walk down of the tower and the area to make sure there's nothing that's loose on the tower that, again, could get lodged and become a threat. So that's done with our subcontractors along with ULA representation. Then we come back tomorrow, we will do another walk down with the ULA team, the ops team, Air Force, Aerospace. Customers are also welcome to participate and do that same walk down to make sure that we didn't miss anything. So double set of eyes, and like I said, it's been we've been very successful in doing that so far.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to ask if you have a timeline for like when you think you'll have some sort of capsule vehicle on top of your rocket for structural tests and all that, leading up to.
So it'll be sometime in the second quarter of 17. I don't know when that's going to fall, but it'll be when we do a wet dress rehearsal for that particular mission. That's when we'll roll the CST Starliner stack out and.
The first capsule that you put on top and roll out here will be the flight capsule?
Yes, it is. Now keep in mind, at the Sauer Group, we're doing a lot of surveying data. So we know where the theoretical location is for the torque tube, which is the mounting fixture for the arm. So back here is the torque tube, so we know where the theoretical location is for that. We also know the theoretical center point is with the launch vehicle. And so we're able to take that data, do 3D modeling, and know exactly where it's going to be on this tower. So when we bring it out, we're going to be within, thousandths of an inch of our expectation. Over here.
For either the first, for the orbital flight test or the crew flight test, are you going to incorporate crew testing into the pad flow? Like for the wet dress, would you have a crew come out for the orbital or for the crew flight test?
Yes, sir. So the question was, do we plan on doing any crew type testing during the test flight? And the answer is yes. We have what they call an idle test, and during that test, again, when we bring the vehicle out to the pad, we are dedicating another day at the pad, which is something we typically don't do, to run through those exercises. So it'll be not just the crew, it'll be the ground crew, it'll be the launch crews. So we will do a full-up exercise with all of the entities involved in a launch day event.
That would be like a dry test.
A dry test. Let's see, we'll go back over here. Let me get somebody that hasn't asked the question, and then we'll come back around to those that, right here.
Just curious, can you talk a little bit about integrating the Starliner to the Atlas V compared to, say, the Cygnus or Nuos or any of the other payloads you fly?
Okay, so the question is how do we plan on integrating the Starliner to the Atlas vehicle, and how would that differ from any other mission? So quite frankly, it's going to be very similar to the way we do our normal missions. One of the things that we have instilled with our Boeing customer is that we don't want to change the way we process the rocket, because we have a formula that works. It's very successful, it's very succinct, and we understand it very well. And so from an integration perspective, we're integrating them very similar. The difference is we are going to be giving them a lot more time on the Atlas vehicle because of the processing that's unique to them. So from an integration perspective, we're going to be using virtually the same exact procedures that are used today and that were used for the Cygnus capsule. And let's see. Oh, he moved. I was going to get the gentleman that was right there. There you are.
I know you said you had about 4 more construction phases following this launch. Is that mostly for outfitting, or is the general outboard segments already completed and you're mostly just focusing on the remainder of that?
It's actually outboard steel. So all of the steel, except for the roof, on the front is complete. And what we're doing is these sections right in through here are what we have to finalize.
How high is that guy working
So how high is that guy? So that guy, that roof line is 201 feet high. So if you're afraid of heights, it's probably not where you want to be. Yes, sir.
On the day that you move the rocket to the launch pad, suppose it's raining or other kinds of inclement weather. Is there weather restrictions? I understand a hurricane, but other restrictions with respect to weather that would prohibit you from moving the rocket at the time you can?
So the question was related to weather. So rain is not a constraint for moving the tower or moving the vehicle. So from a weather perspective, we do a weather briefing prior to roll. Actually, several hours prior to roll. During that time, we evaluate for lightning, wind, and stuff of that magnitude, and then we make a determination. So we have criteria. Most of our criteria is associated with wind and lightning and the probability. Even the next day, if we know that there's a high probability of very strong winds or we would evaluate, we'd work with our customer and make a determination at that point.
I get a question for Steve, actually, please. You worked on the shuttle till the end.
Yes.
Now we're doing commercial cruise. So can you give us Nessa's perspective and your perspective on how this all feels and how excited you are to be involved in manned flight?
Well, I think you nailed it right there. We are excited to be back in manned flight again. There's a lot of experience we bring to the table regarding manned flight, and we're thrilled to pieces to have our partners to work with to get us from smoke and fire back at the pad again. But there is the whole process of designing the spacecraft, designing the process, coming up with our procedures has been partnered since the very, very beginning of all this. So we used many of the same types of requirements we had all along for previous programs, and they've been incorporated into the design of the launch facilities, into the design of the spacecraft. And by the time this is all said and done, our spacecraft will be fully certified by NASA and ready to launch humans here starting middle of 17, give or take a little bit.
Could you say how much simpler this is?